You're fired. Marco Island city manager voted unanimously out of his job tonight. Busted. A police investigation in Punta Gorda digs up drug activity in one family home. Overnight felons with bump stocks banned. People who legally purchased them may now be committing a crime. All this on Fox 4 News at 10, and it starts right now.
Live from the station that's in your corner, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
These 4 people facing multiple drug charges tonight after an investigation in Punta Gorda. 2 of them accused of trafficking amphetamines. Thanks for choosing Fox 4 News at 10 tonight. I'm Lisa Greenberg. Neighbors tell 4 News Corner squad cars and crime scene vans surrounded their cul-de-sac, and one person was even taken away on a stretcher. 4 News Corner's Michael Cadigan talking to someone who lives across the street and knows this family well. Michael.
Lisa, neighbors say they knew which home Punta Gorda police were heading for. They've seen cars and people coming in and out of that house all the time at all hours of the day. It was just a matter of time before it was police cars coming for a visit. Through the hedges, you can see Punta Gorda police cars and crime scene units surrounding this home on Roma Court yesterday.
There was a crime scene vehicle, then there was a fire truck, an ambulance, and took somebody away in a ambulance bed.
Punta Gorda police arresting Robert Nicholas, Joanne Dawkins, Deborah Stackness, and Willie Jones. The 4 charged with drug paraphernalia. Nicholas and Dawkins charged with amphetamine trafficking.
It's been a problem out there for, I guess, a while. I've seen the police cars here, and it's always been at the same house, it seems.
Longtime neighbors have seen the gradual transformation of the house from a family home to what they call a drug house.
It became increasingly unusual for one car after another to come back and forth to this house, and it had to do with drugs. He does have a drug problem, though. So did everybody that came to the house. Robert didn't want to turn anyone away.
Joe Fossilo was neighborly with Nicholas, even knowing his father and grandfather. He says Nicholas losing his father pushed him towards depression and drug abuse.
It's an unfortunate kind of a thing. He got caught up in drugs, and he couldn't break away. It's been tough on him. I was told that he held everything inside.
Fossilo hoping Nicholas turns his life around by cleaning up his home and his life.
I was always willing to help him out as best I could. Lots of organizations in Charlotte County, plenty of them, that have things to offer. He just has to take advantage of those things.
Neighbors tell me the people inside the home usually kept to themselves, that the only complaints in the past were noise violations. They're expecting Nicholas to return home later this week. Michael Cadigan, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right, thank you, Michael. Marco Island City Council is approving the police chief's request to add 3 extra officers to have in each of its 3 schools. The police chief says since the Parkland shooting, he's been staffing each school with an officer by reassigning current officers from their shifts, which is stretching his current staff a little bit thin. He wants to add 3 more officers to a 34-person staff. It's a commitment to children's safety that'll cost $300,000 taxpayer dollars.
It's very costly, but it's a commitment we need to make as a community.
I don't see why anybody would be against our children's safety. And I actually asked my 10-year-old how did he feel about having so many officers at the school, because at one point we also had Collier County Sheriff there. And he said that he felt safe.
The council approved of the funding again during tonight's city council meeting. Voted off the island, Marco Island's embattled city manager fired tonight by the council. Dr. Lee Niblock was under investigation for battery allegations from someone living on the island. But 4 News Corner's Adam Pinsker tells us there were other factors leading to his dismissal tonight. Adam?
Well, Lisa, in the past couple weeks, residents of Marco Island have anteed up the pressure on City Council to fire City Manager Lee Niblock, especially after an email between Niblock and a city councilor surfaced that said Niblock wanted to have a mass firing of city employees. It was also revealed tonight that Niblock tried to suppress the battery investigation into him.
Motion carries 7-0.
A decisive vote to oust Marco Island City Manager Lee Niblock, ending his tumultuous 4-month tenure. Niblock has been on paid leave for a month since allegations of battery surfaced against him. But city officials say Niblock wasn't fired for that, rather as poor judgment while on the job.
Manager interviewed a female job applicant in a restaurant where wine was ordered and or consumed by the city manager.
He also caused a stir by sending this email threatening to fire city employees in what he dubbed the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. The email sent out one day after 17 people were murdered at a Broward County high school on Valentine's Day.
I have no confidence in this gentleman
for what he has done, what he has said, his lack of empathy.
Niblock wasn't at Monday's meeting, but that didn't stop people living on Marco Island from grilling the former manager and city councilors for spending thousands of dollars on hiring a search firm that brought Niblock to the island only to fire him.
Come on, that's $250,000 for what on an annual basis? We hired a fool. Thank you.
But Niblock's attorney Sawyer Smith says the city council were foolish to fire him, telling Four in Your Corner, "The city of Marco Island has cast its vote, and we look forward to standing with our client and protecting his rights. This isn't the first time we've had to stand up to a rogue city government, and we look forward to our day in court." Now, City Council did not set an effective date for Niblock's firing, but based on his contract, they may actually owe him some compensation. Reporting from Collier County, Adam Pinsker, Fox 4 in Your Corner.
All right, thank you so much, Adam. Closing time now, 3 a.m. for some bars in Cape Coral. The ordinance passed 7 to 1. Council members are calling this a compromise, as some wanted that closing time to be 4 a.m. The extension would only apply to Saturday and Sunday mornings and, of course, holidays. The move will cost nearly $160,000 to cover overtime for 5 police officers, a move council is still determining exactly how to fund, but ultimately members say it'll boost business.
A person is going to go out and drink and drive, whether the bars are open till 2 or till 3. They're going to make that bad choice and that bad decision.
What speaks very loudly to me is the potential for economic development.
Now, bars choosing to stay open until 3 a.m. will have to follow security guidelines outlined in this ordinance. All right, taking a look at radar here in Southwest Florida. It's pretty clear right now, but I'm in the Weather Center with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley, who says tomorrow evening will be looking much different.
Yeah, it looks like we could be looking at some storms. Some of them could be strong to severe, Lisa, as they move into the area tomorrow afternoon and evening. What we're tracking is a cold front. That you see the front now is moving through Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama into parts of northwest Georgia. That front is going to be making its way into the state of Florida here for tomorrow. There is a slight risk for severe weather for most of southwest Florida, a marginal risk, I should say, in the green. That is the lowest end threat, although parts of our area, including Sarasota County, in the yellow, which is a slight risk. The higher threat for severe weather, though, in the areas north of I-4 in the enhanced risk area. That's where we expect the biggest threat for severe weather here for tomorrow. We're going to be tracking the storms here and let you know exactly when we expect them to arrive and what you can expect with them as they move through in your Storm Shield forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Derek. Do you recognize this man? Investigators say he robbed a Dollar General in Lehigh Acres last night. Lee County deputies say he walked into the store on Gretchen Avenue, grabbed the cash drawer, then pulled a pistol from his waistband, and then he took off. As you can see in these photos, he was wearing a black hoodie, black pants, and hat. Anyone with any information is asked to call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-TIPS. The man accused of covering up a deadly hit-and-run crash in Fort Myers entered a not guilty plea in court this morning. Dan Sinclair was not in court, but his attorney was. He's accused of lying about video evidence he had that would implicate the accused driver in a 2016 hit-and-run crash. 18-year-old Adam King was killed in that crash when investigators say Adam Costello hit King's motorcycle with his truck. He's charged with perjury and tampering with evidence charges. Dan Sinclair is. Tampa police have arrested a man they say shot an officer multiple times. Police say officers were serving a warrant when 35-year-old Walter Jazorski fired at them. Investigators say he surrendered only after his mother told him to put down his weapon. It's not clear how badly this officer was hurt, but officials say Richard Lair is conscious and in stable condition tonight.
This could have been much worse. We're very fortunate. It was a very sobering phone call, as you can imagine, when, as a chief of police, when you're notified that one of your officers has been shot in the line of duty. But, you know, these are the type of things that police officers see every day.
Chief Dugan says he believes this incident is an example of mental health issues that officers see regularly. A self-driving Uber SUV struck and killed a woman in Arizona last night. Investigators say the self-driving Uber hit a woman walking outside a crosswalk last night in Tempe. She died at the hospital from her injuries. Police say the car was in self-drive mode at the time, but there was an operator who was behind the wheel. Uber officials issued a statement Monday saying the company is cooperating with this investigation. Bump stocks are banned, and if you own one, you could be in some legal trouble. The people suing the state, and it's not for what you think. And we know life can be stressful, but screaming, smashing, breaking things isn't necessarily a good way to cope. Or is it? We're giving you a look inside a rage room. But first, a deadly bridge collapse killing 6 people near Florida International University. How students are returning to a new season and a new normal after losing one of their peers. Derek?
And our Storm Smart Skycam tonight looking at the Caloosahatchee Bridge. Looks like a humid night here in Southwest Florida that could spell some storms for tomorrow. Your Storm Shield forecast is coming up in just a few minutes. Don't go away.
That's all.
It was a gorgeous day to be outside today. I know it was one of those days where I wish I could just leave work and head to the pool.
Or just
that I don't
not
wanna
be at work
here,
at all.
But, you know, it's one of those days that it's just, you want to take advantage of the sunshine. It was not too hot, but
Getting a little humid out there now. I don't know if you've noticed that. And yeah, it looks like tomorrow we're still going to have some wind. Actually, the winds are going to be higher tomorrow. That's one thing you're going to notice is how much stronger the winds are going to be gusting ahead of that cold front. And then we're going to be tracking a chance for storms after, I'd say, about 3 or 4 o'clock, and then continuing through the evening hours. So I'd say a window between about 3 and 10 p.m. is where we're going to be looking at a chance for some rain, including storms. Now, on the radar, there's nothing going on right now, so we're going to stay dry and quiet overnight tonight. Temperatures are noticeably warmer than they've been. It's starting to get a little bit more humid outside, and as a result of that, temperatures are staying a little bit warmer at this hour. Low to mid-70s right now. Winds out of the southwest at about 5 to 10. They will be increasing again tomorrow. We could see some gusts 20 to 25 ahead of that cold front for tomorrow evening. Now, right now, it looks like our chance for storms is going to come after about, I'd say, 3 or 4 o'clock. So really the window is going to be between the afternoon and evening hours. And then the front will push through by this time tomorrow night. And then we're going to be looking at some cooler weather across the area. So a warm and windy Tuesday. Storms will move in late afternoon and evening, and then turning cooler for Wednesday. Temperatures again back into the 40s and 50s this week on the 7-day forecast. Clouds and radar together again showing the cold front, which is to our north and west. There's been severe weather going on across parts of Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia tonight, with big hail being reported with some of those storms there. Now, right now, it looks like our threat for severe weather is low. We have the scale here, and basically we're the marginal risk across Southwest Florida, including the green here. That's the lowest end threat. So the chances there for some storms, we don't expect anything significant or widespread, like an outbreak of severe weather. But the enhanced risk from I-4 northward in the orange is where we're expecting the best chance for more organized severe weather. As you can see, most of our area is under that marginal risk for severe weather. So again, the severe weather threats tomorrow, tornado threat, low. It does look like we'll see a wind threat. Those winds in the upper atmosphere are quite strong, and those storms will tap into that and bring some of those winds down to the ground. So we could easily see some wind gusts 40, 50, 60 miles per hour, some of the stronger storms. Hail, there is a chance, but it's going to be small hail at that. And then it looks like we'll see some heavier rainfall with some of the storms too. But you can see the energy associated with this thing. The energy is going to track across North Florida. If this were a little bit farther south, I'd be a little bit more concerned with a more substantial threat for severe weather. But given the fact that the energy is going to stay mainly north of I-4, that's where I think the best chance for more organized severe weather will be. But nonetheless, we have a chance of storms later tomorrow. 82 your high, and then we turn cooler. Look at that, Friday morning, back into the 40s with highs in the 70s through the end of the week.
All right, thank you, Derek. And remember, 4 in Your Corner is your source for complete weather coverage. Download our free Storm Shield 4 mobile app. You can get push alerts and up-to-date information about weather conditions in your area. A moment of silence held today at 1:47 p.m., the exact time a pedestrian bridge at Florida International University collapsed and killed 6 people. Students returning from spring break to a more somber campus, especially after losing one of their own classmates in this incident. Reporter Chris Welch was there when students came back today.
And it's hard to think that so many people's lives were lost just right there, right outside of our classrooms.
Is it safe to say that things are a little different on campus today?
Definitely. It's a little gloomy. You can tell everybody's just kind of trying to move on and just, you know, get better.
Returning from spring break for the first day of classes since the tragedy, students at Florida International University say their minds will no doubt be on the lives lost. particularly fellow FIU student Alexa Duran.
There's a lot of tension because we lost one of our own here.
It's very difficult. It's a little distracting because we're all thinking about it and thinking about the victims and just everything that happened, and it happened so quickly. So we're just all trying to be there for one another and get through it.
As students focus on healing, the university's president, Mark Rosenberg, offered condolences in a video released Sunday.
Our hearts continue to ache for the victims of the bridge collapse. Futures and families have been shattered.
One man who was injured when the 950-ton bridge came crashing to the pavement has now filed a lawsuit against the bridge design and construction firms. This after an engineer with the construction company left a voicemail last week with the Department of Transportation warning of cracks.
So we've taken a look at it, and obviously some repairs or whatever will have to be done, but from a safety perspective, we don't see that there's any issue there.
Now, even though that cracking was noticed, the NTSB says it's too early to say definitively what exactly caused this collapse. Students and faculty will continue the healing process with a vigil on Wednesday. 2 people taken into custody after a high-speed chase from Lee all the way to Collier County this morning. Florida Highway Patrol says a trooper was on the exit ramp at Alico Road when his patrol car was almost hit by another car. That trooper then tried to stop the driver, but he sped through Bonita Springs and into Collier County. Deputies there using a pit maneuver to stop the car. Charlotte County deputies arresting a man they say was hiding meth inside a box of strawberry shortcake rolls. Yes. 21-year-old Justin Miller was seen walking around near Scott Street and Duncan Road in Punta Gorda carrying the dessert box. Deputies stopped him to ask why he was out so late. That's when Miller told deputies he had a BB gun and did consent to a search. Deputies then found the meth inside that box of strawberry shortcake rolls. Hillsborough County detectives investigating a shooting and a house fire where 2 people died and 1 was critically injured. Deputies responded to a shooting just before midnight and found a woman dead in front of a home on fire. Inside that home, deputies found 2 children. One, a girl who was sadly already dead. A boy about 10 years old was taken to Tampa General Hospital in critical condition. Deputies say 1 man was taken into custody and questioned. A 45-year-old man found with a missing Pennsylvania teenager in Mexico appeared in court in Miami today. Kevin Easterly waived extradition back to Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley to face a felony charge of interfering with the custody of a child. Authorities say Easterly and the 16-year-old girl had a secret relationship and ran off together 2 weeks ago. Now this girl returned to Pennsylvania on Sunday. A man losing his sight took in the beach for what will likely be the last time. He has glaucoma. It's an eye disease that can cause blindness. Now, 2 groups sent his wife and him to the beach in a limo so that he could catch one last glimpse of the beach. And he says the experience, as always, was therapeutic, it was relaxing, and he plans to visit again even after he can't see the sand and the waves.
Nothing like the sound of the beach with the waves crashing.
Always special to be anywhere with him, but especially here. We enjoy it.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to see the changes, but I'll be able to feel them.
How sweet. Now, this couple visited Fernandina Beach in Jacksonville. Wish of a Lifetime made this trip possible. They're a wish-granting organization for seniors. Bump stocks are banned, and owners could be in big trouble tonight. What legislation says about turning in bump stocks and who's suing the state of Florida for their property. But first, sometimes life is overwhelming. For that, there's Bashville. Check out one rage room where it's okay, even encouraged, to get a little angry. It's next on Fox 4 News at 10.
Money.
There is a smashing new option to relieve some stress, and it's called Bashville. It's Nashville's first rage room. Owner Gina Lee says since you can't act on frustrations without consequences, there's Bashville. TVs, computer screens, and more, all ripe for the crushing. For $25, you can choose your weapons, choose your destructibles, and just bash away. Lee says in a way, it could even be good for you.
Doctors there, you know, everybody has anger issues, and sometimes, you know, life just gets you down. Bills you have to pay. You can also bring that picture of that ex-boyfriend or the old chair that he left, you know, bring it on down here and you can take care of it.
She's on to something. Now, Vashville also accepts bashable donations and even offers a discount if you bring in your own items. A sweet pup getting back on his feet after a run-in with a semi-truck. Meet Mac, see his journey, and find out what's next for this good boy. But first, bump stocks have been banned and owners could be in big trouble soon. It's next on Fox 4 News at 10.
That's all. Live from the station that's in your corner, you're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
Bump stocks are now banned in the state of Florida. Governor Scott signing a bill banning the attachments, which allow guns to operate like automatic weapons. This is in the wake of that Parkland school shooting. Now the owner of a Cape Coral gun store is suing the state over this. 4 in Your Corner's Jasmine Miner has been looking into this tonight. Jasmine, what did you find out?
Lisa, that gun store, those gun store owners, they say that the moment the bill was passed to ban bump stocks, thousands just became criminals. And he and a group of others are now suing the state of Florida, not on the morality of having these devices, but instead the fairness of taking away personal property. Bump stocks. They were used by the Las Vegas shooter in the massacre on the Strip. And now if you own one in Florida, you'll be considered a criminal too.
Overnight, thousands of people will become felons just because they possess these devices.
Governor Rick Scott signed a bill banning the sale or possession of bump stocks.
I'm a big supporter of the Second Amendment, but I don't think there should be any sort of devices like bump stocks.
And now one group is suing the state of Florida.
If the government is going to ban these devices, that they should compensate the people who legally purchased them.
Andy Kagan of Kagan Law Group says the lawsuit, which has 5 plaintiffs, all owners of bump stocks, is not about the legality of the device, but instead about taking away personal property without any money in return.
Without compensation, you know, it's a very slippery slope.
A bump stock speeds up the rate of fire, taking a semi-automatic weapon from this to this.
All the way.
And they're not cheap. Kagan says a bump stock or any binary trigger could cost anywhere from $300 to $500. And if you currently own one, you're not getting that money back. Kagan says if the government does this now, they may not stop here.
If we don't stand up on this, next time it could be something else that you care about.
While gun stores like the Shoot Center are not a part of the lawsuit, they fully support it.
Because we know that we're right, and you know, this could go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Those with bump stocks or any binary triggers have until October 1st to drop it off at either a local police station or a gun store like Shoot Center. Kagan tells me they plan on serving the lawsuit by tomorrow. Live in the studio, Jasmine Miner, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, thank you so much, Jasmine. President Trump in New Hampshire today addressing the state's and the nation's opioid crisis. Trump unveiling his administration's plan to combat the epidemic. The event marks his first trip to the Granite State since his election. New Hampshire has the 3rd highest rate of overdose deaths in the country. Trump outlined his administration's plans to deal with dealers.
We have 0 tolerance for drug dealers. I said, what does that mean? That means we have the death penalty for drug dealers. We don't have a drug problem. Take a look at some of these countries where they don't play games. They don't have a drug problem.
President Trump also renewing his call for a wall to be built along the U.S. border with Mexico. Public policy experts have criticized Mr. Trump's proposal for executing drug traffickers. They say it misses the cause of the opioid epidemic. A disabled North Fort Myers woman has a new home after spending the last 2 months living in an abandoned drug house. The 72-year-old was evicted from her home on Cypress Street along with dozens of others last year after an area drug bust led to a neighborhood clean-out. 4 in Your Corner photographer Kurt Tremper and reporter Sam Sosa have been following Eloise Gerke's story since they found her in those unsafe conditions. Now that she's been medically treated, she's reunited with her best friends.
When 4 in Your Corner called DCF to get 72-year-old Eloise Gerke medical help, all she could think about was the safety of her 2 pups, Max and Ruby.
Don't let them be scared, please.
She almost refused the emergency treatment until a local animal hospital volunteered to take the pets while Eloise got back on her feet. Here she is now, walking into her new home in North Fort Myers.
This is your key.
After seeing our first story on Eloise, showing how she was evicted from her home and living in a drug house, the manager of this property decided to make her a tenant.
Hope you'll be comfortable here. I think you will.
But most important to Eloise, Max and Ruby are allowed to stay here too. She hasn't seen them since she was hospitalized almost 2 weeks ago. 4 in Your Corner, lucky enough to capture the moment staff from the animal clinic brought the dogs to their new home.
Come on, Ruby. Come on, Max.
We bathed them, gave them stuff for fleas, got the fleas off of them. Yeah, they got the spa treatment.
I miss you so much.
All the jumping, the bouncing, the licking, you know, she's a good person. That tells me a lot.
With her best friends back in her arms, Eloise is ready to start a new life with some new friends who say they'll check on her and her pups every day.
As long as she's happy and safe, that's all that matters right now. That's about it.
Thank you. Sam Sosa, Fox 4 in Your Corner.
How sweet is that? Love it. And 4 in Your Corner has been sticking with Gerke's story since she was initially evicted from her home at the start of this month. So we're happy to see a happy ending. A longtime Cirque du Soleil performer died after a fall during a show in Tampa Saturday night, excuse me. Reporter Amanda Savari spoke with one of the people in the audience who watched as this man fell to his death.
I can't get it out of my head.
Julian Martinez was in the crowd Saturday night for the performance of Volta. He noticed one of the performers during the rope swings, describing him as struggling.
I saw the performer visibly straining to hold onto the rope. I saw like the two acrobatics exchanging glances beforehand, and I don't know if one was trying to ensure that the other one was okay, but at that point you could tell that something might happen.
And sadly, something did happen. That performer fell from the rope onto the stage. It was not part of the show.
That didn't look good. It looked like I don't want to say he hit head first, but he did like just upper portion just made immediate contact with the floor.
Immediately after, medical staff rushed to the stage. You can see him here in this video recorded just after the fall. Martinez says he never saw the man move after.
It was awful. You heard all the cries in the audience. There was children there and they're freaking out.
News Channel 8 has learned that man died after being rushed to the hospital. Martinez can't help but think if he noticed the performer struggling to keep his grip, why wasn't more done?
I wish someone would have noticed it and stepped in. It just kind of colors your opinion on everything that's happening behind the scenes and what's the cost of our entertainment at that point.
Now, the last 2 shows of Volta were scheduled for Sunday, and they ended up being canceled after this incident. Cirque du Soleil says they're working with authorities as they look into what exactly happened here. Fear is being bred in and around the capital of Texas, with police saying the city is likely facing a serial bomber who's been linked to 4 explosions so far this month. Fox's Casey Stiegel has more from Austin.
Police in Austin say they believe 4 bombings in the city over the past 3 weeks are linked and maybe the work of a serial bomber. This after the latest explosion Sunday night, injuring 2 men. Police say it marks a significant change from the other attacks, which were carried out with package bombs.
We have seen similarities in the device that exploded here last night and the other 3 devices that have exploded in Austin. The big difference in this device, again, is we believe that a tripwire was used in this device.
Officials say the tripwire indicates a level of sophistication not seen in the other explosions and could be an escalation. But the bomber's motive is still unknown. As the investigation intensifies, police are asking the person or persons responsible to make contact and let them know why they're doing it. They're also urging residents here to exercise a new level of caution.
We're even more concerned now that people see something suspicious, they just stay away from it altogether and contact law enforcement. Because if they move that package or if they step on that tripwire, it's likely to detonate.
Meantime, anxious residents are doing their best to stay calm, many saying they're not used to attacks like this.
Well, that kind of stuff just happens somewhere else, you know. Well, here it is a block and a half away, so it's scary.
With the most recent developments, the tripwire and the fact that Sunday night's victims were white men in their 20s, authorities now no longer believe that one specific group may be targeted here. It's the latest on the ground from Austin. Casey Stiegel, Fox News.
And with the most recent developments, the tripwire and the fact that Sunday night's victims were white men in their 20s, authorities now no longer believe that one specific group is being targeted here. Spring training is wrapping up, and while you might think it's all about the players preparing, there's another group of people getting themselves ready for the season. 4 in Your Corner's Jane Monreal checked in with the umpires who keep the game on track.
Spring training in Southwest Florida. Can't beat it, right? You get to see 2 teams play their hearts out. But how about that 3rd team? We're talking about those umpires.
If these fans could experience, see, hear, smell what I experience and how I experience, they would have to make these stadiums 100,000 seats. I mean, because it is amazing.
What the umpires do to get ready for the regular season. That's tomorrow morning on Fox 4 Morning News.
As law enforcement officer, no 2 days are ever alike. A unique day for these officers detaining a different kind of escapee than you'd expect after they skipped out on the job. And a student missing in Bermuda has been found, and sadly, he's passed away. The latest on the investigation. But first, the road to recovery. Meet one brave puppy healing after a run-in with a semi-truck and ready to find a forever home. And as we head to the break, here's a look at the Storm Smart Sky Camera. A beautiful time lapse out of the pink shell. Just a gorgeous day. Picture perfect to be out in Southwest Florida. We'll check in with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley to warn you about some severe weather that could be heading this way. It's next on Fox 4 News at 10.
Live from the station that's in your corner. News with Patrick Nolan, Amy Wegman, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Derek Beasley. You're watching Fox 4 News at 10.
After getting hit by a semi-truck, one little dog is in for a long recovery. Luckily, the Gulf Coast Humane Society is helping him get back on his paws. And as 4 in Your Corner's Karis Belger tells us, initially they were worried he may never walk again.
This is Mac.
Good boy, Mackers.
And despite the boot you see on his leg, he still likes to play and get his neck scratched. But he wasn't always in such great shape.
We didn't know if his pelvis was shattered. We didn't know all the extent of his injuries, but we had to carry him. His back legs just dangled.
Mac was hit by a semi-truck in DeSoto County. Jennifer Galloway of Gulf Coast Humane Society got the call when it happened. Mac had to be rushed to the vet for treatment.
He said, get him in here right away. He did surgery on both the knees.
Mac has to wear a cast with this little boot over it. The injury on his back left leg means Mac hasn't been able to move as much as he wants to.
Part of the challenge is we have to keep him calm, and he just wants to say hi to every person and every dog, everybody he sees. He's just the happiest dog.
But that boot doesn't keep him down for long. When I caught up with Mac, he was just as energetic as any other dog, which Galloway says is a good sign for his recovery.
He goes out probably 4 or 5 times a day for short walks, and then we could do limited play yard activity as long as he's not running around too much.
And the next step? Hopefully a new forever home.
I'd really love to see his Mac transition into a foster home where he can really get that, that 24-hour love and that healing process going.
Karis Belger, Fox 4 in your corner.
And Galloway also told Fox 4 anyone interested in fostering Mac is welcome to come in anytime. The Center for Identity at the University of Texas at Austin has created a way to scan privacy policies so you don't have to actually read them. Privacy Check is a free browser extension for Chrome, which scans policies for privacy for risk of sharing personal data like email addresses, your location, or even your social security number. You can use this tool to check on the privacy policy for any company and then decide if you're still okay with what exactly you are agreeing to. All right, so it was a gorgeous day outside today. I mean, we just saw that time lapse from the pink shell, and it was just perfect. But tomorrow, looking a little different, huh?
Yeah, it looks like most of the day is going to be fine. I do think that we're going to see higher winds than what we saw today, Lisa. Certainly some more humidity, but then we're going to be tracking a chance for some storms later in the afternoon and evening. And we'll have to watch some of those. Right now, the severe weather threat doesn't look substantial, but there is a chance for some of the storms to be stronger to severe here for tomorrow evening. Nothing going on the radar for tonight. It's just a very warm and humid evening across the area. Low to mid-70s currently, 74 out at Pagefield and here in the Cape. So tomorrow morning, we're going to be dry. We'll have some few clouds around. It'll be humid. Temperatures around 70, so no issues for your morning commute. But then it looks like as we get into the afternoon hours, the winds are going to start picking up. And then we're going to be tracking this cold front. The front right now is moving through portions of Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and up into Georgia. You can see where the storms are firing up along here. And we're tracking some big storms now right along Interstate 20 between Birmingham and Atlanta. And this is where we've seen the potential for a violent tornado that just tracked through parts of east central Alabama. Specifically, Jacksonville State University appears to have taken some damage from this tornado that has just tracked through the area. It looks like these storms are going to be headed towards the I-20 corridor and into the Atlanta metro here over the next couple of hours or so. Now, those aren't the storms that are going to be affecting us. We're going to be looking at more storms that are going to develop along the cold front out into the Gulf by tomorrow morning, and they will track into our area by tomorrow afternoon. And right now, we're at a level 1 out of 5, 5 being the worst, 1 being the lowest. A level 1 threat for Southwest Florida. That's the area in green. And that's the chance that some of the storms could produce some gusty winds, maybe a little bit of hail. Right now, the tornado threat looks very low. The higher threat for that is going to be up in the orange area north of I-4. So again, the severe weather threats, tornado threat looks low. It is not 0, but it is low. Threat for gusty winds. We could see some wind gusts out of some of the storms, 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. A small hail threat, and we do not anticipate a flooding threat as well. Here's a look at our high-resolution computer model. Notice through tomorrow morning, we're dry here in Southwest Florida, but we're going to be watching storms developing along the cold front as it moves through the northern Gulf tomorrow. Now, as we get into tomorrow evening, this is where we're going to see some of the storms pushing into the area. Now, this is our computer model basically projecting the storms moving into the area somewhere around the 4, 5, 6 o'clock time frame, and then pushing south of the region by this time tomorrow. So we're going to be turning cooler and drier behind the front, and highs will be back into the 70s after tomorrow for the rest of the week. 69 tonight, storm chances late tomorrow, 82 your high, and it'll be windy throughout the day. Small craft need to exercise caution for tomorrow. Your Inland Marine forecast sees 3 to 5 feet. Inland waters will be choppy. 7-day forecast. Late day storms tomorrow, and then dry, quiet, and cooler for the rest of the week.
All right, thank you, Derek. Police in Bermuda say they found the body of a missing American college student. 19-year-old Mark Dombrowski was a student at St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. He was in Bermuda to compete in an international rugby tournament when he disappeared early yesterday. There's no word on how exactly he died, but officials say they have not ruled out foul play. Georgia police work daily to catch criminals and put them behind bars, but this was not one of those times. We'll show you how police were forced to detain and who exactly they were forced to detain next on Fox 4 News at 10. A man is facing assault and drug charges after he got into a scuffle with a Georgia deputy. This video shows a Walton County Sheriff's deputy trying to arrest a man during a traffic stop, but he resists. The suspect is seen pushing the deputy down, jumping back into his car, and then driving away as the deputy tries to hang on to that vehicle. You're about to see it. Now, according to the sheriff's office, a passerby followed this suspect until the deputy ended up catching up with him. And these Georgia officers fielding a different kind of call. They responded to this scene where about 20 animals were helping themselves to one person's plants, even their lawn. The goats and one donkey were supposed to be clearing a woman's yard. She had hired them, excuse me. They weren't fired, they were hired from a company for a couple of days when they apparently walked off the job. The officers were able to get the animals back into the woman's yard to finish that work. 1 month after the deadly Parkland school shooting, a glass artist is helping victims' families celebrate their legacy. Why this artist says this tragedy hits so close to home for him. Beyonce and Jay-Z may be known for their stage presence, but it was their daughter, Blue Ivy, who stole the show this past weekend. We'll tell you how. A woman using her car to slam into a police station. Why deputies say the woman did this intentionally. It's all new next on Fox 4 News at 11.